College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Roosmore.
Well, those were our college football storylines, and there's going to be a bunch more, just a couple that we picked out, and a lot of reasons because of the college football scoreboard. So we're going to go quickly and recap. I love Alex positivity. That's right. They put up 81, and he still thinks he can't get the W. But let's talk about that. I mean, you had three teams that scored over 70 points a week ago.
Yeah.
You know, with Oregon scoring 81, Ole Miss and OU both scoring 73. I mean, those blowouts were amazing if you're on the team that's blowing the other guys out.
Yeah.
For the other ones, I mean, when I turned on the OU game, it was 63-0 or something like that. At like the third quarter, I was like, oh, the third string is in here. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I looked and it was like maybe the end of the first quarter and it was 28-0. I was like, I don't need to check that score anymore. Like,
Game over.
that can be one while I'm like scrolling the other scores, like, oh, cool, they scored 4 more times. Like,
Right.
But that's one I didn't need to pay attention to the rest of the day.
Exactly. Yo, what were some of the games that caught your attention this past weekend?
I mean, we already talked about Colorado TCU. That was the main one for me early on. And then obviously I was paying very close attention to your guys' game, the Battle of the Carolinas there, paying close attention to Penn State. And then for me, I mean, that LSU FSU game, that was my one where I was like, it's two juggernauts going at it. Like, can't wait to see what happens. And then there was one juggernaut, all right. And then LSU just didn't show up.
Yeah.
So LSU made far too many mistakes. FSU looked legit on both sides of the ball. I mean, multiple 4th and short stops. Capitalized on mistakes. Jordan Travis had one bad throw, led to his interception. That was an ugly one. But otherwise, I thought he played very well. Keon Coleman. I am personally, sorry, Kat, that I'm saying this. I'm so glad he's not in the green and white anymore. He can go be in Tallahassee there, catching passes from Jordan Travis. I don't have to see him. He's a monster. He is so good. He was the one where last year when we played the Spartans, it was like, okay, this is literally the only guy I'm worried about on the offensive side of the ball. Shut him down. We're good. Yeah. And yeah, he's a game breaker, man. He's insane. And yeah, they look like a top 5 team. They look like a playoff caliber team.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Eric said, I'm not sad to see BK do what BK does in big games. Love for what he did at ND. But I saw that happen a bunch of times in the last 10 years. Yeah, Brian Kelly, it was a tale of two halves. There was no adjustments whatsoever. And it's funny because last year, the first half, they came out that poorly. And then the second half, they come storming back. And you're like, oh. And then I remember at this time, at halftime, I think it was, like a 7-point game, like 24-17 or something like that?
At halftime this year, it was 17-14 LSU. Yeah. And then LSU did not score a touchdown until the last, 3 minutes of the game?
Ugly.
FSU scored like 30 consecutive points.
Yeah.
Just disgusting. It was, phenomenal performance by FSU. LSU, you got to go back to the drawing board and figure that out quick.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And look, so, I mean, you got those. I mean, obviously, I looked at you guys, wanted to see J.J. McCarthy, wanted to see Corum, wanted to see not having the coach and OC. I wanted to see if that was going to take effect. Obviously, it did not. You guys still looked amazing. USC and Notre Dame, both of them rolled again. USC, I think they dropped was Nevada or something like that. And
USC and Nevada,
Yeah. So definitely loved that one. Texas beating Rice. I didn't know that JT Daniels was starting over at Rice.
His what, 5th team in 4 years, 5 years, something like that?
Can we discuss that? Because Tez Walker, they didn't let him do his they said he couldn't play this year. They denied
transfer 2
his
times in 2
transfer.
years, even though he didn't get to play at the first school.
Right, because of COVID.
Like,
but JT Daniels gets to keep moving and grooving.
I was leaving that one alone on purpose. Well, because him and Keaton Slovis too.
Yeah,
who's now at BYU. Like, was that Pitt? Then the year before, did he go SC to Pitt?
Yeah,
I think he did. So 3 teams in 3 years.
Right, and that's okay though. See, I would have been a lot more bitter had we lost, but still, it's just like, are y'all kidding me right now? Like, he has a valid reason. These are why the waivers are put into place. These are why there are these special, cases and situations like that. And then with the COVID year, we have to let the guy get in. It's ridiculous.
Well, and the part that bothers me is when both schools that he transferred from, like, essentially signed a waiver being like, please let him go to North Carolina.
Right.
And the NCAA looked at it all and just went, nope, we're like, too bad.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It is. And shout out to Mac Brown, our coach. He came out there and he said he's highly disappointed with the NCAA and the way that they handled that situation. I
thought he had a great response.
Yeah. And I loved it. And normally, you don't necessarily want to see your coaches bucking the system or things like that, but he's been around. He's seen this stuff happen time and time again, and I'm glad he spoke up. I'm glad he did, man. So, hey, free Tez, man, because that's baloney, man. That's
absolutely.
Couple other ones out there. Kentucky putting up 44 against Ball State. Cincinnati puts up 66 on Eastern Carolina. No Fickle, no problem. I mean,
I bet you Florida wishes they still had Emory Jones, former Florida quarterback.
Exactly. Come on now.
He looked damn good.
Yes.
For the Bearcats this weekend.
Man, and watch out. Oh, actually, matter of fact, Cincy plays Pitt this coming weekend, so we'll definitely.
It's gonna be a good game.
Exactly. Look into that one. One other game I wanted to mention. Shout out to Alec, who is in the comments. He told us about this team. Cal, ladies and gentlemen, put up 58 on North Texas. I'm sorry. Like, I know North Texas is bad, but Cal I thought was rough. And to see them put that up, man, come on now. Alex said, so who's doing the show tomorrow? I will not be able to watch college football again tomorrow, Alec. That is why we decided to come on quickly tonight. How about them Cowboys? Oh, yeah, you were right. You told us. You let us know. Let us know.
And that quarterback did do very well for him.
Yeah.
So,
hey, let's see what they can keep. Hey, this Pac-12 is shaping up to be okay. Or
the only undefeated conference so far.
There you go. Everybody's number 1.
13-0.
Let's go. Let's go. Now, we do want to talk about a couple of these upsets that happened. Baylor in the first game loses Texas State 42-31. Not a way to start your season.
You want to talk about a coach that could be on the hot seat? Dave Aranda, if things start going awry here, that loss might be a nail in the coffin for him.
Because you look around the Big 12, you got OU putting up all these points. You got Texas putting up all these points. Kansas State, they blanked their opponent, I think 45-0. So nobody at TCU put up 42. So if you can't beat Texas State and can't put up more than just 31 on, it's going to be a long year for you.
Not a good look.
No.
In the slightest.
No.
Especially for a team that for so many years has been very good defensively.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not a good look.
Not a good way to start your season. Another team, one that Alec was talking about, I believe, who Oregon plays next, lost in double overtime to Wyoming. Again, not a good way to start your year, And look, let's not sleep on some of these lesser schools. Yes, they're getting guys from the transfer portal. They're starting to play above their weight class, but Texas Tech, this was supposed to be your cupcake, man. You're supposed to get this thing done. Shout out to Wyoming for playing big, but not good. Not good to start off.
Yeah, that's a rough one. I mean, like you said, props to Wyoming for showing up and playing, and that's why we play the games every Saturday, because stuff like this happens. I mean, stuff like Ben mentioned up top that I don't want to really talk about, but App State, Michigan in 07, it's why you play the games.
But let me ask that, because I did see that one when he said that. Are we as good now as you guys were perceived to be that year?
No.
Weren't you? You were top 5, right?
Yeah. I think we were 2 at that time.
Yeah.
Because we had the year before, I think it was the end of the season, it was either 1-2 or 2-3 in 06 with the national championship on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the year Troy Smith won the Heisman.
Yeah.
And I watched a whole clip on it recently, but we had them stopped, and then Troy Smith was just kind of running it out of bounds. They were going to punt it. Sean Crable hit Troy Smith as he was going out of bounds, kind of one of those right as he's going out of bounds, so the kind of iffy calls. And they threw the flag because it's the quarterback. Ohio State kept the drive alive and finished the game. But even the Ohio, Troy Smith and some of those James Laurinaitis, some of those Ohio State guys that they were talking to were we felt like if Michigan got the ball back, they were taking that game. So, I mean, so they were top then, and then they brought pretty much everyone back, like Henny, Mike Hart. Braylon Edwards was already gone by that point. But you had Mario Manningham, Adrian Arrington, Jake Long was the left tackle.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sean Crable was one of those main guys. That was a special team with Carr still coaching.
Yep.
I think that was the last year he coached. It was 07. 07 or 08.
Yeah. And I remember that day, and I'm not trying to get you to relive this, but I remember it because I was working. I was actually working at the time with Eric. We were both working at the YMCA. I think I had gone out that Friday night, and I was so pumped to wake up and watch college football, and then I overslept. And so I got a text at, I think it was 3:00, right around the time of the kick. And Eric was the one who hit me up. He was like, yo, Michigan's about to lose. And I was like, what? And then it was right as the kick was being blocked and the whole thing. And he's like, oh, Michigan just lost. And I was like, what? And I'm still just like, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious? And the whole day, that's all I was watching. Just those are we serious?
Yeah, I'm shocked I remember it because I was 8.
Yeah.
But that was a tough one.
Yeah. Who was that? Was that Armani Rogers? He was
for App State.
Yeah, who was their quarterback?
I think so.
Armani, I don't know. Maybe it was Edwards, Marnie Edwards or something. Not sure.
Edwards that sounds right. I'm gonna go look it up though.
And then Eric said, then Dennis Dixon the next week. Oh, you guys played Oregon the next week? Oof.
Yeah, not great. Mm-mm. They whooped us pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Mm-mm. All right, let's get you out of this area. We're not gonna do that. So look, one more thing we did want to do to recap a storyline that we had talked about last week. Last week, Miami of Ohio played the University of Miami, Coral Gables, and they came out saying, hey, the real Miami, it's in Oxford.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
No, they scored 3 points. They got stomped 38-3. It was not even pretty. I haven't heard anything from the Miami of Ohio quarterback since then.
Nope, he's been quiet.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet.
Also,
that's what happened.
One more upset that we forgot. Fresno State scoring in the last minute to beat Purdue.
Woo!
39-35. Really? They scored a touchdown with 59 seconds left to take that win, 39-35. I mean, Hudson Card had a pretty good game, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But Fresno stole it late. Can't remember his first name, but Keene for Fresno State had 4 touchdowns and a pick, I think.
Oh, wow.
But he had a pretty good game. So, yeah, that was one where I had a parlay, and I took Michigan by 36 points, which they screwed me. They only got the 30. And they had scored the touchdown to get 36. but then it got called back that it was short, and I was just like, okay. And then, of course, they went 2 clock the rest of the game.
Of course.
And then I had Purdue beating Fresno State, which was out the window.
Yep.
I had Ohio State covering the 30.5-point spread out the window. It was just like all of it just shot.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why I stopped sports betting. I stopped college football betting because I used to do that every year and just be like, oh, why?
I pick a couple weeks a year and I just do $1, and then it's just like a home run parlay, like just. If this happens, this happens, this happens. I'm making like a third of what I make in a year off this one bet. Like,
go, man. Yes, we need to.